Hey, this is Garrett with Sympliact, and today in this demo video, what we want to look at is what does the registration process look like using Sympliact. So for reference, Sympliact is used in parallel with another practice management system or another system that allows for treatment planning, insurance, billing interactions. Sympliact is our electronic health record. Simple, clean, efficient, easy to use. It's our patient engagement tool, so patient notifications and communication, review and reputation management on the back end, etc. And it's also our collaboration tool. So whether that's externally with referring doctors or whether that's internally for our own workflows, preparing cases and things, all of that work is done in Sympliact. Only work that's done in our parallel system, which I have pulled up a form here to simulate what it's going to look like with us moving data back and forth, is really going to be used primarily for, again, insurance billing, treatment planning purposes. So to jump right in, we're going to start with that initial patient interaction, which is usually a patient phone call. We call the patient after we receive a referral, or the patient calls us. So when we're on the phone with the patient, first step is going to be to search our practice up here in the top right corner to see if that patient exists yet in our practice. And in this case, this patient does not. So I'm gonna hit the add button. I'm gonna gather the patient's date of birth from them while I'm on the phone. I'm gonna gather their email address and enter that. And I'm gonna get a good phone number from them. So we've got all the information. We'll now create the patient. When I create the patient's going to get a notification both to their email and phone where they can create an account and link to us to start sharing data back and forth. But while we're on this initial phone call, we'll then gather any other information that we want from them. So let's say we want to get their address. We will enter that while we're on the phone. And then we will hit save. While we're on the phone, we usually try to get as much insurance information as we can. So while we're on the phone, we'll have them pull out their cards, or if they have the information in another source, we'll get as much of that information as we can from them so that we can go ahead and start the process of verifying their insurance, etc. Let's say the patient themselves is the subscriber. We'll hit that button and it auto-populates their information. We'll also try to get a dental policy if they have one. Same thing, just entering that information. And let's say the subscriber's the same, so instead of repeating all that information, we'll just plug that in. And very quickly, we have all of that demographics and insurance information that we want to get off of that first phone call. We would then pop over to the Care Threads tab and add a new care thread. We'd name it for what we either know or think this procedure is about. So let's say we don't have a ton of information yet, but the patient tells us on the phone that they've got a painful lower back tooth that they need to get seen for. But again, if we had more specific information, we can name this whatever we want. We can go back and edit it as we gather more information. And then while we're on that first phone call with the patient, we would then find them an appointment. So let's say we're going to set them up initially for just a consultation to see what's going on so we can come up with a plan. Let's say they want to specifically see Dr. Smith. We could then choose Dr. Smith, go through the schedule, find an appropriate time window here, and hit create. So now we've got an appointment on that thread. The patient's going to get notified about that appointment on their end. If we go back to our dashboard and go to that day in question, we now see that appointment that we've just created. So we finish up the phone call with the patient. And after we've finished that call, what we would then do is we're sitting back on our patient profile screen. We would then transfer the data over to our parallel system. So whether that's a practice management system or billing insurance kind of parallel system, whatever that is, very quick transfer of just the data that's absolutely necessary. So I can click on any piece of data that I want to on this screen. The system's going to automatically copy it. I just click into my other window and Control V directly where I want it to go. So whether that's on a second monitor, or like in this case where I've just got essentially a large monitor and I've got two windows up, I'm just clicking back and forth, and very quickly I have all of that data that I need over into my other system. For some, it may be quicker to just type it in, and boom, I'm done. So I can create that patient in my parallel system. Everything else is going to be done here, though. I don't need to transfer, every piece of data over because it's not needed. All I need over here is enough to create that patient, and then I can move on to the next step in the process or the next phone call, etc. Okay, what are the next steps in the process? These steps can differ from situation to situation based on a few factors. So one would be, how far out is that appointment that we just created for the patient on the phone call? Is it later today? Is it 1 week from today? Is it 4 weeks from today, etc.? Another factor can be, does the patient respond to our nudges and the notifications that they received via SMS and email about creating a patient site account and pre-registering for their appointment? Again, those things can create differences in how these steps work. But in this particular situation, what we're going to look at is the patient, Alice Jones, did create a patient site account and link to our practice. You can see this by this little linkage icon right here. And then she pre-registered for an appointment, which makes it really nice. So when I click into her profile, again, I see all of her demographics and insurance data completed. I see that her authorizations have been completed. If I click over to her health history screen, I see that she's completed her health history, etc. So this is the ideal situation. And the next step on the practice side in preparation for this appointment would oftentimes be whoever's responsible for the insurance verification processes in the office would come to the application according to the protocol within the practice as far as timing of this interaction, and they would move similar to how we move the demographics information over. They would quickly move any insurance data over into their parallel billing insurance practice management system in the same fashion, and that can differ from program to program as far as which fields you actually move, but a lot of times it's just 2 or 3 fields. So in this case, let's say we're going to move company name of the medical insurance. We're going to move patient's policy's ID number. We're going to move the patient's policy group number. And then we'll pull over the subscriber name. In this case, the subscriber is the patient. So, maybe somewhat redundant, but in other cases, maybe the subscriber is different. And again, maybe you don't even need that data in your other system because you have it here at any time, which again, you can look at in parallel. It's essentially like having just a different screen of whatever other system up at the same time so that you can work back and forth. Again, the idea here is we don't want to move any data that we don't absolutely have to from Sympliact to our other system because it's unnecessary. Again, we can have it up at any time, we can work with it, we can move it into any other system in any form or fashion. So the insurance verification team member would then use this data in any way that they need to with regards to preparing from an insurance perspective for that upcoming appointment. And that's really the end of that step. Next step would be the date of the appointment, which we'll look at next. Okay, last step in the registration onboarding process would be the day of the appointment itself. In this case, we're on our daily patient schedule. We can see a lot from this. So we can see that Jackie Sims, the patient before Alice Jones, is in a treatment complete status. We can see that this patient's not linked to our practice. So this means they either didn't create a patient site account or they didn't complete the patient site interactions, etc. We can see they're in a partial registration status. And then we come down to Alice Jones, which is the patient we're going to look at. We can see, again, like we looked at earlier, she's linked to us. That means she has a patient site account, and her patient site account is connected to our practice site account for her. We can see that her appointment status is that she confirmed this appointment, and then we can see that she's fully registered here. So I can click into her record again, see any details, see some additional details here, elect to edit the appointment if I want to from here, and then I can choose where I want to go. So let's just click into profile to start with. Again, as we kind of looked at earlier, she was a great patient. She's fully registered, so there's nothing that we really need to do. If let's say she hasn't finished her registration, then obviously there may be some work that she either needs to do in office on our iPad or we need to help her with. We may need to upload card photos, but in her case, again, she's already done so we're good on that front. We've got our authorizations complete, so we've gone through and checked everything. Everything looks good. If we wanted to, we could go through and confirm these sections so that we see that we on the practice side have actually confirmed that all this data is good, although that's, again, just up to you from a practice to practice standpoint. We can click into health history, again, see that we've got it complete, but again, we're going to want to confirm this with the patient to make sure that she didn't accidentally leave anything off. But if she has, if everything is good, we can go through, confirm things, add any details if we want to, but again, don't absolutely have to. Let's say we'll add some detail on how well our diabetes is controlled currently, etc. And then from there, we can go directly into our care thread. And here we can start with treating the patient. So we could take a chief history of present illness. We could jump right into our consultation, add our consultation note, upload x-rays or images, etc. But we're ready to go, and we're ready to treat the patient and document things in her care thread. So that's really all there is to the registration interactions. It sounds daunting on the surface with regards to running a system in parallel to another system, but in reality, super simple. The redundancies are super minimal, and at the kind of macro high level, the removal of exponentially more redundancies or exponentially more frustrating interactions from a just poorly designed, poorly implemented forms and things of this nature significantly outweighs any minimal needs for movement of data between Sympliact and any other insurance billing practice management system softwares that we're using in parallel. So Sympliact is its own freestanding, fully functional, but also very lean and efficient electronic health records, built that way very purposely so that we can both deliver more efficient care, but we can do so in a fashion that's easier on us, that's more enjoyable on ourselves, and just removes a bunch of the waste and the redundancies and frustrations of dealing with legacy electronic health records, deals with having to have multiple systems, notification systems, referral management systems, etc. on top of our practice management systems. In this case, really just one system parallel with our billing insurance software, and we've got all the functionality we need to deliver world-class care that patients love and that we love. So anyways, that's a quick run through of the registration flows with some added additional detail and context. Hopefully it helps. As always, reach out with any questions, thoughts. Otherwise, have a great day.